Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good. I think I feel good after a good day's work.
Yeah, we started the
Yeah.
day off with Insanity. If you guys know what Insanity is, it's like a really intense interval training body weight exercise. Really good for clearing your mind and getting in getting in gear.
Yeah, it was helpful for me. Yeah, so a couple updates. Do you want to talk about GDC?
Game Developers Conference (GDC) is the biggest indie developers conference. It started off as like independent development studios would get together and show off their game projects, and then bigger developers also became part of it and stuff. And now it's basically turned into like the place to go to show off your new games or your projects or pitch to development like startup accelerators and what are they called?
Incubators?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking.
Investors?
I'm thinking of the word production. I got a problem.
Oh, publishers.
Publishers. There we go. Yes, the P word.
I read your mind.
Yeah, that's why that's why we do so much good work. We just read each other's minds and go off of that. So yeah, the publishers are there, the people are there, lots of interested game industry insiders are there, and it's just very valuable. So that's March 2020. That is now our big bullseye target of timeline planning, and we're going to plan around that. So in the meantime, since we talked last, I mean, we've been doing a lot, but in that month that we didn't record, there was some planning going on in terms of what we need to get done to get what's called vertical slice. Vertical slice is a playable stack of everything that's going to look the way it does in the final version of the game, but a small moment in time. So like somebody could jump on and say, oh, this is how the game's going to look, play, and feel, right? So we want vertical slice done of part of the game by GDC 2020 and a very good trailer, a really good informational cinematic trailer that talks about what the game does for people and how it feels to play it and sort of just sells the idea of the game. Playing on a screen at the booth.
Yeah, and one for players, a trailer for players, but also a trailer for the healthcare worker interface that we're going to be providing within the game as well.
We haven't talked too much about healthcare interface, so they might not follow us along here, but and I think tomorrow we could talk a little bit more about what we're calling the Questmaster interface. They are there are stakeholders who will be working with us in the institutional side of things that work with young adults, and hopefully this is a tool for them. We can talk about that later. But yeah, at GDC 2020, we want to show the cinematic trailer, which is like inspiring, like audience will watch that.
On the big screen with popcorn.
Yeah, well, maybe the big screen on the wall at least of our booth. There's something called GDC Play, which is a group of booths specifically for independent studios. It's a little cheaper than those $15,000 big studio booths. It's very active, lots of people running around. It's part of the expo room, and there'll be lots of exposure, lots of interested people walking by, and having that demo playing on a loop is going to be super useful.
That's going to be fun. San Francisco. So that gives us we're basing everything around that.
March.
One thing that Dove has done is he's downloaded Team Gantt.
Yeah, it's an online thing.
Yeah, and that's super helpful. It's helping us sort of organize everything that needs to happen and when it needs to happen, and that is a sort of pivotal deadline that we're basing things around.
Project management software, the fun world of project management.
Got it.
It actually is pretty exciting though. Like when you get in and start messing with how long things are going to take and assigning them to people and then figuring out, like, I don't know, that's an entire career right there. Some people do this for a job 9 to 5, and I can see why. There's a lot to do. Yeah. Anyways, a lot of game design is project management.
We're still waiting on our art. I wasn't necessarily going to mention that, but just part of this process will be working with
Vendors,
people out in the world who are going to be, contributing art and different assets to the game, and that's a whole learning curve. Dove's doing amazing at communication, I think, around that.
Thank you.
just that whole people communication and working with people and realizing that maybe we can't just plug in dates and it will happen, and learning to be flexible, but also learning to make stuff happen by the time it needs to happen. So that's a creative space sandbox that we're working in here.
And a really interesting take on project management. You can manage, and that's it's almost like a bad word, management. And you shouldn't manage too hard. It's more like you're setting your expectations of what you'd like done in time, but then nothing ever aligns to exactly how you've planned it out. So flexibility, adaptability, improvisation, and just grit, determination, all of this is going to be really required to get through this fuzzy timeline that we're setting out for ourselves.
Yeah. You want to wrap it up there? That seems like a good little chunk, or was there anything else you wanted to?
That's great, yeah. Tomorrow we'll talk about the Quest Master interface, but for now we did a lot today in terms of storyboarding, and yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If
thanks
you're
for
still
following
these
the journey.
I know, yeah, this is great.
We'll buy you a coffee, like Dove said.
Yeah.
He'll buy you a coffee.
I'll buy you a coffee. I'll buy you a coffee.
Me? Aw, thanks.
I'm pointing at the camera.
You're pointing at me.
Yeah, I guess. I'll buy you a coffee.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.